Okay, guys, this is my first requested video on how I personally have stopped consuming marijuana at the rate I was. Uh, it's been about 3 weeks, almost a month, since I decided to limit my usage, and I'll tell you what, I think one of the main reasons that I did quit is because I was just fed up with how I was treating it, and it was becoming like an everyday occurrence that I had to smoke in order to like feel good, and I think that's one of the main problems that we have as a society is where we tie things, that we do to our happiness. And you know, you could say like what is happiness, but nobody can really answer that unless it's yourself. Like only you can answer what makes you happy, you know. And for me, I was looking in the mirror and not loving myself, really. Like, I really wasn't, like, ecstatic that I was smoking weed every day, not going to the gym, eating like shit, or overeating, basically. And, I'm not necessarily a heavy guy, heavy set, but I used to be. In high school, I was, 180, about 5'5", 5'6", so that's pretty hefty. Um, Now I'm probably about 5'10", maybe 5'9" and a half, and I'm about 190 right now. Which I carry the weight mostly in my midsection, but it's not like I'm obese by any stretch of the means. Like I can look down and see my dick, basically, but I'm still not like totally happy with that either. Like I carry excess fat in my midsection, and I basically was like, screw this. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done smoking the weed, and I'm done with all the bullshit because it wasn't serving me anymore. And I had a customer. I had somebody comment if they could make a video about me quitting weed, and I was just fucking fed up, man. I'm just done with it. Like, I think there comes a time where weed is just doesn't serve you anymore. Like it's okay once in a while, but for me, like I was consuming weed every day to you know run away from my issues, to not stand up, not to not be a fucking man and be responsible for the outcome of my life. And I think we all have those fears as men, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that, and I don't think a lot of men understand that either. A lot of men would just choose to sit by the wayside and let life take control of them instead of taking control of their life. Um, and I just had this burning desire to quit weed because it was making me angry. That's really the biggest thing. Is I was so fucking pissed at myself for smoking so much that one day I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm fucking done with it. I'm done being lazy. I'm done smoking weed every fucking minute of the day. And it just, it just sucks that, for me, it's this is my relationship with it, like I'm a lazy ass motherfucker when I'm smoking weed, and I'm not productive whatsoever. And that may be different for other people, but I can only give you the information that I have about me, and it may be similar for you, but ultimately this is just my observation from me, and I was getting really sick of it. I was getting really, really sick of it. Just life is passing us by every moment we take, and by the second, it's gone. You'll never get that back. And I really looked at it as, what is this even doing to serve me? Like, how does this serve me to smoke weed every day? It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think it serves me in the slightest bit to be smoking weed every day and to be lounging around the house with no aspirations, getting nothing done, not making any money, and that was it. I was just like, I'm done. I'm done with this fucking BS, and I can give you a little bit of a timeline about when I started smoking weed, and I was probably 14 or 15 when I started. And, of course, like I wasn't peer pressured into smoking weed by any stretch of the means. Like I love smoking weed, don't get me wrong. Like getting high with your buddies and watching a movie, it's like one of the best ways you can, uh, well, it's one of the better ways that I've found to maintain relationships. But I'll tell you what, when I moved to Colorado, when I moved to Colorado, I I went out there to uh, ride my motorcycles out there. Like they have some of the best riding roads out there. And, weed is a factor for a lot of people moving out there. Like, oh, weed's legal and it's so cheap and you can get weed, blah, blah, blah. Like, people love weed out there. Excuse me. People love weed out there. But, like, is it a reason for me to move halfway across the country? No, it wasn't, dude. Like, when I had the opportunity to get my CDL, I quit weed like that because I was gonna get a pay raise. I was gonna get like a $3 to $4 pay raise, to get my CDL, and that was worth it. So I didn't look at it any different, and it wasn't hard for me to quit. It wasn't hard for me to quit whatsoever. Like, I made the decision. I'm not gonna smoke weed anymore. I don't smoke weed anymore, and I was brought. Well, in 2020, COVID hit, and um, me and my roommate had decided to quit weed together so that it wouldn't necessarily be in the house. My other roommate didn't smoke, so it was basically the both of us, and we were playing off of each other, by getting high all the time, and um, we both quit when I got my CDL, and that was probably for like a year and a half that I didn't smoke weed, and then 2020 hit, and COVID hit, and things just kind of went off the rails for everybody, and I'm not saying that's an excuse for me to start smoking again, but I certainly couldn't do much else, and I really didn't have any passions besides riding motorcycles, um, and I did ride a lot, but it wasn't enough. Like I needed that social element to it, and smoking weed was always there. Smoking weed was always a social thing for me. Like, I always smoked with someone. It was never alone. So that was kind of like my social bonding with one of my roommates, and it just got me back into smoking like pretty heavily, and also drinking pretty heavily. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. So I was basically smoking and drinking for the better part of like a year and a half of COVID, and pretty heavily too. And when I left Colorado, I didn't have as much opportunity to buy weed, so I kind of quit the weed, but it transferred. It transferred over to drinking really badly, and I was down in the Florida Keys in 2019 and 20, or no, I'm sorry, 20, the winter of 2020 through 21, and then the winter of 22, I headed back down to Florida, but I didn't really have weed. All I had was booze, and I definitely didn't respect it. Didn't respect it whatsoever. And yeah, no, so I finally, this last summer, I finally said, you know what, I got some healing to do. I got shit on my plate that I need to take care of, and I can't be smoking and drinking like I am now if I'm going to take care of these things and try and make myself better. So it's just it's got to be from within, man. Like, you cannot quit weed for somebody else. Like, your mom wants you to quit smoking weed. No, it's not gonna work, man. Like, you gotta be pissed off at yourself a little bit. Like, you have to hate where you are in life for you to say, I'm gonna quit smoking weed and I'm gonna fucking do it and I'm gonna fucking mean it. And that's kind of where I am right now, where I'm looking at where I'm at in my life, and I'm gonna be 29 this year, And, I feel a little bit behind the eight ball because weed and booze and other things are just limiting me, and I'm allowing it. I'm allowing it. And I'm not doing anything to better it. And that's really like, that's that point where you're just like, you know what? Fuck this. I am done with living this life. And I'm fucking done with being somebody who somebody else wants me to be, and I'm not standing up for myself, and that's really where it's like, okay, dude, like you gotta fucking do this and you gotta make sure you're fucking on it. Like, no more weed, no more booze, hit the fucking gym, read more books, go talk to girls, dude, go fucking get laid a little bit, and that to me is just now those things, because I have a clear mind, is like very open. Like it's very clear to me. Like that's what I want, and I felt distracted by weed. I felt like I was suppressing my emotions with weed, because I was hiding from the things I had to learn about myself to take care of myself better. I was suppressing those things with weed and with alcohol, and it's not good. And I'll tell you about it. One of the ways that I quit alcohol too, and it was one night, uh, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. In my town is a big night. Everybody goes out and everybody's drinking, and everybody's having a good time, catching up, all that jazz, and um, so I went out. I was getting ready to see a bunch of kids from my grade. I had my 10-year reunion actually, a few days after Thanksgiving. So I was hoping to see some people out the night before, or the night before Thanksgiving. And I started drinking, and I basically, probably like 6 p.m. I started drinking. I went out. Maybe it was 7. I went out at 7. I was figuring everyone my age was gonna be out early because we're getting fucking old and nobody goes out till midnight anymore. Um, and I was kind of hoping I'd see some people around, but I didn't. And basically for the whole night I was stuck with, not stuck, but I was drinking with kids that were, 6 years younger than me, and I was like the odd man out, and I wound up drinking way too much, and basically making a damn fool of myself. I was a fucking idiot, and I walked home shit faced from the bar in town, and I probably walked 3 miles home in the freezing cold, and I just cried, man. I just cried. I fucking cried, and I broke down. It was like, why are you doing this to yourself, man? Like, why the fuck? Why are you abusing your body like this? There's no point to it. There's no point, and that's where I was just fed up. I was fed up with all the addictions that I have in my life. Porn addiction, weed addiction, alcohol addiction, and that, like, I was just so fed up, man. I was just so angry at myself because it's my fault, and nobody ever tells you that shit these days. Nobody ever tells you it's your fault. Everybody's got somebody else to blame for their problems. And it came down to the point where I was like, okay, dude, like, you're either going to change right now or you will never change again ever in your life. You'll be stuck being the same fucking asshole who allows a drug like alcohol or weed to control their body. It controls you, and it makes you somebody you're not meant to be, and I want to say, because I know I'm probably going to get some uh you know some slack, or I don't know, I'm probably going to get comments on this video because I'm so harsh about this, but to me, this feels like the truth to me. This feels like my truth, and it feels like the truth. I think we've been led down the wrong road, man. I really do. I feel like as a society, we are being led astray from what it means to be a man, a true man, a masculine figure in your community, to your wife, to your girlfriend, to yourself, and there's no accountability these days. Nobody holds me accountable for my actions. And that's the thing, is it's not anybody's job to either. It's your job. It's my job to hold myself accountable for these things that I'm doing to myself. Nobody else's. And that's a humongous point that I want to get across, is until you're so fed up with yourself that you're drinking or you're smoking or you're, doing heroin, whatever the frig it may be, until you're so fed up and you're so sick to your stomach over yourself, like you can't even stand to look at yourself in the mirror. You're so disgusted. You won't change. You won't change, because that's what it takes. That's really what it takes to become different, to actually want to change for the better. And I look at it in my family. Like, we have a humongous food addiction problem in my family. My emotional ties for the longest time were to food. Like our Sunday dinners, we have Sunday dinners every week. We eat like crap every Sunday dinner. Every Sunday dinner, we eat like shit. And I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it, because it's just propped up in my family that eating like shit is some good thing to do, and I'm living with my parents right now, and 5 nights out of 7, they're eating like crap. And I keep telling them, this is gonna kill you a lot sooner than you fucking think, and they don't care. They just don't care. And it's like, yeah, well, you know what? I do care about what goes into my body, and I'm trying really, really hard to try and change that for myself. Like, I want to be meal prepping here in the sometime future. I'm looking at a job so that I can go out and I can at least feed myself. Like, I don't have to rely on what my parents make for dinner every night. And I've been in this state. Of turmoil, what you would call not feeling very fucking good about yourself for quite some time, and I tried my hand last summer at my own little business, and it worked great for 5 or 6 weeks, and then, it got flipped upside down on its head because of things that aren't in my control. But here's my thing. I'm going to wrap this all up, because I think that you need to have some sort of standing in your life where you're in control. Like, you gotta map out your life and how you want to live it. Not because your parents want you to live this certain way, or not because your friends say, oh, well, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just go get a 9-to-5 job, blah, blah, blah. Which isn't the worst thing in the world, but you need to be self-sustainable, man. And you gotta look at your life. You gotta look at your life and say, is it gonna serve me in 5 years to be smoking today and to continue to smoke for the next 5 years? Is it really gonna serve me? Ask yourself that question. Is it really gonna serve me to drink this alcohol tonight and be hungover for the next 2 days? No. The answer is always no. But the thing is you feel pressure from society and from your friends to say, hey, don't be a pussy. Just smoke this joint with us. Hey, don't be a pussy. Just drink one more beer with us. Hey, don't be a pussy. Just fucking shoot this heroin up in your arm. Because everyone's doing it, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, is nobody thinks weed or alcohol are these bad things because they're legal. But the truth is, they're some of the worst things for you, man. And I look at weed now, and I don't hate weed. I don't care if somebody else smokes it. It's just, you gotta respect your own boundaries with it. Like, I never respected my own boundaries with that drug, because I had all this peer pressure. All my friends smoked weed, and it was easy to smoke weed with them because they're my friends, you know? And I'm not saying you that you can't be around it, but you have to be willing to stand up for yourself. You got to be willing to set your own boundaries. And you got to be willing to say, you know what? If you can't respect my boundaries on this, then we can't be friends. You know, like I got to go find some new friends. You know, I probably do. Like I have the same friends that I've had for the last 15, 20 years here in Massachusetts. And, you know, I look at them and they're doing their own thing. It's completely fine, their choice. You know, like I don't hold anything against them, but it's not what I want for myself in the future. You know, like I try and talk business with them. And I try and talk buying businesses or, you know, being an entrepreneur. Like they don't care about it, but I do. So I need to surround myself with people that actually care about that, you know, and actually want to see me succeed in that venture, because I don't want to be a slave to somebody else's wage that they're giving me for the rest of my life, you know. So I know what I gotta do to change that, and if that's not drinking every weekend, which I don't really do anyway. I never really drank that much, but the last few years I have been drinking too much. Um, you know, and that's the thing where it's like I have this abusive personality where I just consume too much of something too much. And that's a problem. It's a problem for me, you know, so I need to figure that out. I had to do the work, and I had to journal a lot for me to figure that out, saying, "Hey, this is who you are." So, you can either change it, or you can continue living the way you're going to live for the rest of your life, and nothing is ever going to change. You're just going to keep being the same old Joe that is unhappy with himself and unhappy with his circumstances because it's somebody else's fault. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got a fucking excuse, man. You know, and I'm just sick of it, dude. I'm just sick of the excuses that people put on themselves saying, oh, well, it's not my fault because my dad wasn't around when I was younger, or my mom wasn't around when I was younger. Who cares, man? Like some of the most successful people in the world, they came from absolutely nothing because they had a fucking chip on their shoulder, you know? And sometimes a chip on your shoulder is one of the best things that can happen to you. But everybody looks at it in this society now where if anything bad ever happens to you, your life is over. Your life is ruined. It's not. It's fucking not. It builds resilience, dude. Like, shit sucks. Life sucks. Life is suffering. Nobody ever said this shit is gonna be easy, man. But you gotta make a fucking choice. You can either suck and live your shitty fucking life, or you can try and be better and set yourself up for when the suck actually happens. You're not so emotionally unstable with the suck, you know? And that's a fucking man's journey. That's a fucking man's journey right there. Nobody wants to tell you that it's always gonna fucking suck. Nobody cares about you. Nobody fucking cares, dude. You know? But here's the thing. If you care about you, if you do what you need to do to be better, the suck is gonna suck a lot less. And you're gonna be stronger in those times where, you know, something doesn't go your way. Oh, that's life. You know, and you can just brush it off your shoulder. And it doesn't have to suck so bad. But society isn't teaching men this. Young boys, they're not teaching this to fucking dudes anymore. They're teaching dudes to show your emotions more. Show your this. Be a little more vulnerable. Be this and that. Oh, don't be afraid to tell your girlfriend that you feel, disgusted by yourself. Blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit, dude. They're fucking leading you down the shit pipe. That's what they're doing. They're leading you down the shit pipe. And that's the thing. It's been a rant, but I'm going to leave it there because now I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to go lift some heavy weights because that's what I know I need to do. Because I'm angry now. I'm angry, aka I'm motivated to go do something, to go change my life for the better. That's what you got to use. You got to use the anger, because you see it all the time, man. You see all these young angry guys, mostly men in their teens. They're just angry. They're going and shooting up schools. They're going and killing themselves. They're going and doing shit that is some of the most treacherous shit, because they're sitting there angry. They're sitting there angry at themselves, and nobody ever told them how to use their anger instead of let it use them. And that's a consequence of the society. That's a consequence of us being weak societies. And there's a cycle. It's strong men build great nations, right? Great nations create weak men. Weak men Weak men make the society fall, right? And when society turns to shit, they look to strong men to change it. And that's not the total cycle, but you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up, because it's true. And nobody ever tells us this shit. Nobody, like my dad, I never learned shit from him. I learned how, I did. I learned to be a great worker. You know what I learned how to do? I learned how to go answer to some other guy, because that's all my dad did his whole life. He went and answered to somebody else, and that's not the life I want. It's not the life I want for me. So I'm not saying my dad's a bad guy, and I'm not saying anything of that nature. Like, I love my dad, and he's a great guy, and he gives back a lot. But just in those terms, I know we disagree, and we don't really see eye to eye that much because of that reason, and it's built into you from a very long time ago. This is childhood stuff that's ingrained. So you got to do some deep work. If you're gonna quit weed, and you're gonna quit booze, and start taking life a little bit more seriously, you got to sit down. You got to sit down and ask yourself, what it's really worth. Does it serve you? Does it make you happy? And that's the thing, is nobody's willing to sit and say, you know what, maybe my circumstances aren't the best, but I can change it. Nobody does that. Everybody's just watching Netflix or playing video games all day, and it sucks. It fucking sucks that, there's no space for men to go and say, hey, quit being a little fucking bitch, get off your ass and go lift some weights, and go get a job, or go become a business owner, so that you can get out of the rat race, so you're not driving to some corporate building every day and making your bosses rich as fuck while you're making pennies on the dollar to what they're making. So at any rate, I'm gonna leave it at this, because I gotta go. I'm gonna go to the gym now. Bye-bye. Subscribe, like.